Hi, and welcome to this quick how to help video on angles in quadrilaterals. So there is a piece of knowledge. There is angle facts. There's so many of them, isn't there? Angles in quadrilaterals add up to 360 degrees. If we just take our basic rectangle, we know that 90 degrees is in every corner, and 90 times 4 is 360. So that is one way to try and help you remember that magic number that you need to solve problems when you have angles in quadrilaterals. Now, you can also do a bit of a proof. If you were asked to prove it, what you would do is you would split your rectangle into two triangles. You're going to prove it by using a completely different shape. I know that this triangle has three angles that add up to 180. And I know that this triangle has three angles that add up to 180. And 180 plus 180 is equal to 360. So that's a way of proving using a completely different shape that the angles in a rectangle will add up to 360. And that is true of all quadrilaterals, all four-sided shapes. So this one here is an irregular quadrilateral. It doesn't have a special name, unlike this one here, which we would call a parallelogram, or this one here, which we would call a kite. So this irregular one, if we were given some information and were asked to find a missing angle, it might look something like this. So I'm going to say this one here is 110. Let's say we're going to look for that one. That's 140, and we'll call this one 70 degrees. To be able to answer that question, I have to be able to recall the fact about quadrilaterals, and that is they add up to 360. So I will, to solve this question, take the 360 that I know it must add up to. I'm going to take away all of the angles I've been given. All three angles that I have been given will get taken from the 360 to leave me my answer for X, and that is 32 degrees. If I was doing that in a calculator, I would probably literally put it in like that. If I was doing it by hand, then I would add those so that when I do my takeaway, I'm just taking one total away and not actually doing individual takeaways. Now, the reason that I put a couple of extra ones down is we do have a lot of quadrilaterals in the quad family, and they do have geometrical properties that can be used to make questions maybe a little bit harder. So, for example, the parallelogram, I could tell you that this angle here, and I'm going to keep the numbers nice and simple, is 50. And then I could ask you to work out this one, which feels almost impossible. It's like you haven't actually given me enough information if I'm going to rely on, say, this method here. This is where they will make the questions harder by using the properties. Now, in a parallelogram, the opposite angles are equal. So if this angle here is 50, then this angle here has to be 50. If this angle here is a value I don't know currently, is X, then this angle here is the same size. So I can use this additional knowledge of a parallelogram, take away what I know. 250s are 100. So that's going to give me 260. And then that needs to be shared out equally between the two angles here and here, the two angles that are left. So 260 divided by 2 is 130. So my X has to equal 130 degrees. So actually, knowing the fact that quadrilaterals add up to 360 may not in itself be enough to problem solve a more trickier question. So need to be really mindful of that. I've included the kite because it's another one that is often used to make things harder. I'm not going to do a full-on example. I'm just going to tell you what you need to watch out for. And that is that these angles here are equal. All right, so that's another important fact about a kite. It's a property that I need to know if I'm going to problem solve any questions that involve kites. Okay, they'll often put on some notation with kites as well, because these edges here are equal and these edges here are equal. And I am often asked why we have double dashes and single dashes, and it's just so that you can pair up the right edges. It's these two that are equal and these two that are equal. And whilst we're on the subject of notation, I will just mention that parallelograms, you're either told because they've used the word in the question, or again, they will give you that information in the diagram. You are never left to guess. Okay, we never make assumptions. Okay, so that is our angles in a quadrilateral. Hopefully you have found that useful. It's part of a playlist full of angle videos. Please do check those out to see if they are useful. If you are finding these videos helpful, please like and subscribe. It obviously helps my channel. If you've ever got a video that I don't have that you would quite like, you are very, very welcome to request it. Thank you very much for watching this Target Maths video.